All right, what I've got for you here today is the snake skulls. We're going to take a look at these and compare them with mammal skulls that you may be more familiar with. Reptile skulls, especially the snake skulls here, are way different than a mammal's. And a snake skull can do a lot of cool things that a mammal skull simply cannot do because of the way the bones are laid out and the skull structure is laid out. This is actually a skull of a pitchwolfus, which is like a bull snake, gopher snake family. I'm not exactly sure what species this was exactly, but if you look, one thing you should notice pretty quick is in the middle here, this jaw is actually two instead of one, like in a mammal jaw. This allows this jaw to open up extremely wide because there's no nothing in the way. There's no bar across here that only limits the movement up and down. These can move all different sorts of ways. And we'll show you those with bones that allow that to happen here in a second. So, having said that, let's move on to the top of the mouth. And you should notice in the top, there's actually an extra set of teeth in there. And it's kind of neat, huh? Mammals do not have this extra set of teeth. They are actually glued into place right now, but in real life, this bone back here, right there, goes all the way through underneath to that set of teeth. And that bone kind of sits in there with some connective materials that allow each side to be able to move independently using some strong muscles in the back connected to the back of these. You can actually see right back in here, and it's kind of the groove is where the muscle would be attached to be able to pull and push that set of jaws around, which is kind of cool. So you can sometimes see a snake actually moving a prey item down its throat without actually doing much moving on the outside. And that's what's happening. It's actually being drawn in by that extra set of teeth in the middle. So that makes it way different than a mammal skull. Another thing that's cool is you have extra bone. On a mammal skull, you have the bottom jaw right here. But the bottom jaw attaches to basically where the skull is where it attaches to. This does not. It actually has an extra bone running this way and another bone running this way. What that allows it to do is pivot. So this can pivot this way. So if you can imagine this bone here coming out this direction. So if you imagine the bottom jaw can drop, the bottom jaw can go down this way, and now it can go this way. So that bottom jaw basically just flops out of the way, exposing the throat to be able to swallow a large prey item. So why would it need to dislocate anything when it's got all of the mechanisms to allow that jaw to open up that way? Absolutely no reason for it to dislocate. It's got the mechanisms. It's designed that way. It's pretty cool. So let's take a look at a couple of those other jaws. You can see some of these structures a little better on. Let me point out too, I have a skull here too of a eastern hognose that Amethyst made for me several years ago. Sorry about that. And if you know, they are known for having a huge mouth, be able to eat a lot, very, very large prey items, especially eat these toads to blow themselves up. So they got to be able to accommodate that. So let's take a look at something. If you look on the other skull, on this bone right here, this one's a fairly long bone, but look how much longer this bone is compared to the bone here. That is a lot longer. That being a lot longer allows that bottom jaw to really rotate a lot more, which is kind of cool. And if you also look right behind my finger right there, right at the top of my finger, you see that little tooth sticking out? You see the jaw come back and you see that tooth. That is the fang of the eastern hognose. And it's kind of cool. And he actually has the fangs, the teeth on the inside too. It's just a little harder to see in this container. I have it glued together. I don't want to break the seal to get him out. But that's the rear fang of eastern hognose. And that big bone back there lets it open his mouth up really wide. So if you look at the nose of this guy too, see? The nose is actually a bone underneath there. And see if I can get how close I can get to this camera before it fuzzes out. And I think it's probably about it. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. That's about as close as I can get. I think it's pretty cool. It's actually a bone in that nose. Yeah, there's a good look at it. Eastern hognose. All right, let's look at this bigger skull. This is actually a clone of a python skull. That means they made a copy of it. It's like a mold, a cast mold. Probably pretty difficult to do. One thing I noticed really quickly, these teeth are really dull compared to a real python skull. You couldn't touch these soft enough without them basically poking through you. But you can see they have the big jawbone. And where I was talking about the muscles attaching is right back in here. In that groove. Muscles attached. There's even probably an area front nerve. I can't tell what that was. So, pretty cool. I mean, this is actually a life-size skull of a python. I'm not sure what species. I figured it out at one time. It may be a Burmese python if I remember right. But the Burmese and retics do have a little bit of a different skull structure. It's pretty easy to see if you compare them side by side. So, hopefully that helped.